Today, Apple announced the 4th generation iPad, displacing the 3rd generation iPad that launched earlier this year. It's kind of surprising, although it's no surprise that they announced it today, or at least towards the end of the year, because they're facing increasing competition from Google and Microsoft and Amazon. So they had to produce something that would stand up to the competition without waiting another quarter. They had to get it out, or wanted to get it out, they didn't have to, before this holiday season, which is a big shopping season for pretty much every industry. So was it a small bump in terms of specs between the 3rd gen iPad and the 4th gen iPad? I would say yes. It was a significant bump. The CPU will drive twice the performance, twice the graphics performance to boot, and that's a big deal. If you use the iPad on a regular basis, if this is a gaming machine or even for productivity, the faster that machine, the better off you are. But even with that speed increase, even with that processor bump, they have not sacrificed battery life. They also improved other internals like the cameras, which is good for those of you who use the cameras on the iPad. I think I've only used it once or twice, but specifically for FaceTime conversations. So, I've had every iPad that Apple's released. I will be upgrading to this new iPad, and I'll be ordering it this Friday when they allow for pre-orders. It will be delivered on November 2nd. I will be doing a live unboxing of that new iPad here on YouTube for you, and I'll be scheduling that event really soon, so stay tuned for that. The reason why I'm upgrading is because I do happen to be an iPad fan. Not only that, but I'm going to take this iPad and pass it on to Diana. She's had an iPad too and been fine with it, but we noticed that when her mother-in-law was visiting, that she was using Diana's iPad a lot, and she doesn't have a computer. She only had an iPod Touch, which Diana lost, so we may be giving Diana's iPad to Diana's mom, just kind of keeping it in the family, which is a nice way of kind of letting technology flow from one person to another. Now, I think the only person in my family who does not have an iPad is my mom. We may remedy that situation come Christmas. So, that being said, let me break down a few reasons why you might want this and why you might not want this, or you wouldn't want this particular iPad. Why would you want the iPad 4th generation? You want to upgrade to a Lightning port, compared to the classic 30-pin dock connector, which, Apple is going to be phasing out. If you cannot wait, you're chomping at the bit, you want to get rid of all of those classic cables, and you already have an iPod, what would it be? The new iPod, the latest generation iPod with a Lightning connector, and a new iPhone with a Lightning connector, it may make a bit of sense for you to upgrade to the iPad today if you want to just have nothing but Lightning connectors and cables in your house or wherever you happen to connect your devices. You want a great tablet experience, stem to stern, no doubt about it. The iPad has sold extremely well. This has been a great screen. It's been a great experience with software, and see, that's the thing. Apple announced like 275,000 native iPad apps that were optimized for the iPad's screen. That hasn't changed. In fact, new iPad apps are released every single day, and so you have the opportunity to buy into an ecosystem that is already rich with applications that you can try, many of which happen to be free. And then another reason you would want this is you haven't yet purchased an iPad. Let's say you were watching earlier this year the iPad 3rd generation, or as they called it, the new iPad. Now that's the old iPad, and you were watching it going, yeah, I don't know, it's not fast enough for me yet. I don't know if I like this. I don't like that. Here's a chance. This is well, for Apple, really unheard of, launching 2 new iPads, one being twice as fast as the other one within the same year. It was very nice to see that. I don't think anybody would argue with Apple saying, "Oh, you should have waited another year," unless, of course, you just bought a new iPad that's now the old iPad recently, in which case, it's still no slouch. There's nothing wrong with this. It's not going to explode the moment a new iPad comes along. It's just fine. Even the original iPad, in many ways, is better than a lot of new tablets that were just released by Apple's competitors recently. I'm not going to name any names. That's not what this video is all about. Why wouldn't you want the iPad 4th generation, the new iPad, or the new iPad? Your previous iPad is running just fine, okay? You don't have to upgrade. Don't feel the need to upgrade. Why am I doing it? Well, because I use this thing every day. And I have people in my family who could use the one that I'm using now and be just as happy, if not happier, than they were before, because they may not have been using an iPad. But if you have an iPad right now and you don't have the extra dollars, well, either you could sell that iPad to go towards a new iPad, or just, hold on to your current iPad. If it's not disappointing you, you're not losing anything other than a spec bump. You can wait. There's no law that says you have to upgrade your iPad every time a new one comes out. Too much of your life is in another ecosystem. Now, I think this speaks very well to if you have purchased a Kindle Fire, potentially even a Nexus 7 from Google, or a tablet from another vendor, including a Surface with Windows RT or Windows 8 possibly. My Surface with Windows RT is coming this Friday. I ordered one of those too. Because I'm in the position to be able to do that, because I have to be able to look at the Nexus 7s and the iPads and the Surfaces of the world to give you my perspective and speak from actual experience. But if my life was so tied into everything Microsoft was providing with Xbox Live or Xbox Music or anything that I could only access through Microsoft devices, yeah, it wouldn't be a compelling device upgrade for me, or even an option at all if I didn't want what Apple had to offer, if I wasn't interested in the apps that are available on iOS, if I wasn't interested in this device, if I thought this was too big, or maybe I thought it was one thing or another. No, if my life was tied in to somebody else's experience, Amazon's fully, Google's fully, Microsoft's fully, the iPad is just not a compelling upgrade. I realize that may seem a little on the nose, but it's true. And you got to consider that when you purchase a device, you're not just buying the hardware, you're buying the entire experience. And that is a big part of Apple's ecosystem. The third reason you wouldn't want this, the screen is too large for your needs. That some people believe that the iPad screen is just too big, and that's fine. I mean, there are plenty of devices that have smaller screens out there for you to choose, and that's a valid reason to not get an iPad. And I don't know, I guess they're calling it iPad with Retina display at this point in time. It's the iPad 4th generation. I think you guys can make up your own mind. You are free to decide for yourself whether or not the iPad 4th generation is for you. I think it is a good upgrade for the iPad series, specifically this screen size, that particular series. The iPad is still a fantastic computer. It is my go-to machine around the house because it's super portable. Even this iPad, you think, oh, this is so big. It's very portable. It feels light in my hands. So I'm happy with the iPad. I will be upgrading this device. What about you? What do you think?